Hello and welcome to what should be the first of a series of beginner tutorials for Rawbots, the robot building game. Maybe you've wanted to play the demo when the Kickstarter was on, maybe you've been inspired to join the pre-alpha, you want to know where to start, or maybe you just want to know what Rawbots is all about. Well, let's have ourselves a little look. This is the default startup for Rawbots. Not a huge amount going on, but enough to let us get to grips with what's going on here. Right, I'm just going to have a little look around to start off with. The arrow keys move the camera. Alright, so up, down, left, right, all that kind of stuff. Hold down left shift and the up and down arrows will zoom me in and out. And here is our little bot. As you can see, it's made up of bits. These blocks are called continuums. You've got motors and got wheels. And this here is the camera. Now, as you can see, the viewpoint is locked to that camera. Now, later on, you'll be able to make more cameras, but for the moment, let's just stick with this one. You can look through that camera with the tab key and come back out like that. And this particular robot is set up to use the W, A, S and D keys for movement. So I can go forwards, not very far or I'll fall off and fall to my doom. I can go backwards and turn left and turn right. However, robots don't start off knowing about all that. They have to be made that way. So let's have a look at and see how that's done. I hit escape and now I'm in the console. You can type in various commands here, but we're not going to bother with that just now. This here is the grid, which is where all the programming is going to take place. Now, if you click on a part while you're in the console mode, you'll get up all the code that's associated with that part. Now, obviously, it's the motors that do the work when you're going backwards and forwards and all that kind of stuff. So let's click on a motor and see what code there is. Wow, that's quite a lot actually. Now you're going to have to study this very hard because there will be a test later. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, we're just going to have a very quick look on what's happening here. Now, this is the grid with tiles on it. You can use the middle mouse button to move stuff around. If you want to get to a particular bit on the screen, you can move stuff out of the way. You can zoom in with the mouse wheel, and you can zoom out as well if you need to fit more stuff on. So, these green tiles are the motors. These are the actual physical parts in the world. And as you can see, as I put the mouse over them, you get an indication of which tile goes with which bit. So that's quite handy. These yellow tiles are called operands, and they are essentially the programming code, the programming bits and pieces that you will use to actually control your bot bits. Now, these blue tiles, these are inputs and parameters, if you like. They control various bits and pieces. For example, this keyboard sampler, this blue tile here, that says that it's listening for the W key and for the S key. So W is its positive, S is its negative. Over here, this is the velocity of that motor. So it determines how fast and in what direction that motor is going. And finally, you've got these red tiles. And these red tiles are outputs. So in the case of the keyboard sampler, it's going to go from -1 to +1. W makes it positive, S makes it negative, and the sample value comes out here. And samples can be connected to inputs. So this sample is connected to this sample input on this sample mapper. What this does, it's basically changing that -1 to +1 into a sensible range for the velocity of a motor. In this case, it's going from -8 to +8. So that's what that's doing. and that then has two outputs, one mapped, one negative, inverted. So that's basically, if this is 4, that's -4. That's so you can have the motors going all the motors on one side have to go the opposite direction to the other, so that all the wheels turn the right way. And as you can see, that goes to the velocity of these motors. Okay. Now you can move these tiles around and put them wherever you want to make them nice and neat and tidy and work out what's going on. These nice lines here tell you what's connected to what. But you know, I think this is a tad complex to really be starting with. So I'm just going to do a very simple programming example, which is going to be putting a flashing light on top of my little robot, because that's an important thing. Anyway, escape gets me out of the console again. So I'm going to want a light from somewhere. I hit Control and left click, keeping on holding Control. And wow, look at all these bits. Lots and lots and lots of bits. And that's the point light. So I'm going to get that, and you can see it's turned up where I had clicked on the world. I'm going to tip it over now. As you can see, you can drag bits around if you wish to do so. Just a little click and then drag. To attach it to my robot, I want it to go here. Hold down the 1 key, not the one on the number pad, the proper one. Click. And there's this kind of green plunger shape, and that's showing where this is going to attach from. So that's the attachment point. I then click on where I want it to go, and you got this little green preview which shows where the light's going to end up. Now this has got more than one attachment point, so by moving my mouse over the various attachment points I can see where it's going to go, and if necessary I might need to move the camera around, still holding the 1 key, to get to a different place. So eventually I'm going to be happy with where I'm going to want it to go, which is there. And I click once more and it's moved over. So it's now nicely attached. So if I click and drag it, the whole bot will go because they're now stuck together. So it's not doing an awful lot just now. It's called the point light, but it's not doing very much. So let's try and make it do something. I'm going to hit escape, go back in the console. Now, I don't want any of this stuff anymore. I just want the point light. So if I just click on the point light, all the other stuff goes away, and I've just got the tile for the point light, and I'll just move that over here. Control click on that tile, and these are all the inputs and outputs that are associated with a point light. So I'm going to choose this one here, the intensity. Okay, and that's immediately gone very bright. That's because it's got a pre-bit value of 1. It's one of those things where it doesn't use some values until you bring them out onto the grid. So intensity 1, that's obviously quite bright. So I'm just going to try another value. So I'm clicking in the wrong place. I click on the intensity tile. Yes, that's what I do. And down here you note that the console is asking for a value. So I'm going to delete the 1 and put in 0.5. Right, so that's less bright. So click on intensity again and make it 0. Less bright. Well, no bright really when you get down to it. Let's try -1. Well, okay, you don't get darker than 0. That makes sense. And now I'm going to go for 2. And that's not that much brighter than 1. In fact, I've just gone back to 1 and there's no difference. So the intensity for a point light goes from 0 to 1. Alright, let's go dial the intensity down a bit actually because that's quite bright. 0.5. There you go. Alright, let's try changing another thing. Let's try changing color. So right click, color, and that's currently got a color of 0. If you're not familiar with these color codes, then if you just Google hex color picker, you'll find something that'll enable you to pick colors and have them be the correct, and give you the correct code. Right, so I've just changed it to red. Red, it turns out, is hash FF0000, but I could also put in 00FF00. Oh, it would help if I clicked on the right thing. Click on color, delete that, 00FF00, that's green. Click on color again, 0000FF, that's blue. But I am going to go back to red, because I'm going to have a nice flashing red light on the top of me bot. Okay, but I don't want to have to keep changing these values all the time. I want the code to do it itself. So I need an operand to do that. So hold down Control and click somewhere on the grid. You can notice the hexagon lights up when I mouse over it. So click, and that gives me a nice big list of operands to play with. And I'm going to go with this one, this wavy line. That's the oscillator. Control click, open up. So I'm going to open up some of these tiles. I am going to open up amplitude. I'm going to open up leaf frequency. Yeah. I'm going to open up offset, and I'm going to open up sample. Now you can see the sample is going from -1 to +1. It's constantly changing. That's the oscillator, well, oscillating. Okay? So I can control click on sample, drag it with the control key onto the intensity, and there you go. Simple programming. I've now got a flashing light. Now it's not really flashing very smoothly. That's because this is going from -1 to +1, but like we found out, the intensity only goes from 0 to 1. So that's got a difference of 2, that's got a difference of 1, that starts at -1, that starts at 0. So let's fix that, change a few things in the inputs of the oscillator. So to start off with, I'm going to change the amplitude to 0.5. So now it goes from -0.5 to +0.5, which is a difference of 1, which is what we want, but now it's starting and ending too low. So if I go to offset and make that 0.5, well, there we go. Now it's going from 0 to 1, which is what the intensity wants, and you've got a nice smoothly flashing light. A nice simple program. Okay. That's, I think, enough to give you the very, very, very basics of robots. There's lots more to learn, obviously. But for more information, if you've actually got robots running, you can hold the F1 key, and that gives you a list of basic commands that you may wish to use. There is also, if you go to the console, which I am, and type in load, and then hit tab until Academy shows up, and hit return. The Academy has another robot set up like the last one. I'm just going to get a better view. And this has animations set up for the various commands that you're going to want to know about. So, for example, whoop, go around the corner. This is how to spawn items. So that's how to control, click, and then choose from a tile. And that's how to disconnect things. 0 and then click and then things fall off. And so on. So there's things there to look at. There's also the Rawbots website at rawbots.net. And that has forums you can ask questions on. And it also has a wiki, which will allow you to find out even more. Right, I hope that was good to get you started with. I'm Mike from Nearly Enough Dice. Please visit us at nearlyenoughdice.com, where we have a weekly geeky culture podcast. Everything from role-playing games, video games, war games, card games, whatever. So I hope to be back with more of these because I really love robots and I want people to have fun with it. So until then, thanks for watching. Animations. Whoop. If you can control the bot, which I can. Oh, this is so embarrassing. There we go. I think I've broken it because I'm actually stuck in the middle of the wall. I didn't know you could even do that. Ah, wow. This is going in the blue for real.